Normally, when people get to this place, the first thing you see them do will be to cover their noses. But I do tell people, no matter how bad the place will smell, no matter how stuffy it can get other times, is nothing to be compared to what was happening there. Where we are was said to be the largest of the dungeons for the ladies. And here you're talking of 100 to 150 people in this small space. You look at the floor, as hard as it is, they were packed or were sleeping. They were given food and water once, twice in a day, a very little, just to keep them alive. A month or two, they were held in here and mostly allowed out when the governor was going to pick one to be used. Here also, they were not allowed to wash down. The women had to go through their menses and still be sleeping in it. That hole there, among others, was for ventilation. Unfortunately, this was connected to a place they called magazine, where they kept ammunition. So whenever there was any leakage, the fumes of the chemicals came straight to the dungeon and worsened the already bad situation. In here, they gave them two containers or receptacles. One was placed at the corners, where they were expected to go to ease themselves or go to the toilet into them. But they talk about the fact that during the second month, they themselves became too weak, such that some, if not most, were unable to move from where they were to where the containers were to do it into them. So practically, they had everything on the floor and they were sleeping in it. Meaning what you see today, sometime past, had phases, urine, vomit, menstrual blood. And you seriously cannot underestimate the heat and the stench. And these, among others, explains why they were dying. One question everybody would ask would be the fact that yes, the trade was evil. But if the ultimate was profit, then why let them die? It doesn't make sense. And when you pursue the question, you will never get a definite answer. There will be several suggestions. And two common ones you would get would be the fact that one, they were too strong to be controlled, so they wanted to be sure at all times they were weak, they couldn't fight back. And to kind of free themselves from the guilt, they developed another mentality. That only those who could survive these were the strong ones who couldn't work. So it became a kind of a natural process of eliminating the weak ones. And by so doing, they were done. And those that died were thrown into the sea.
So like in this room that would, on average, would keep 150 women. Yeah. But you say when they're here for like a month or two waiting to be shipped, they would be dying because they would be fed once a day with a little food, a little water. Mm-hmm. But then they'll have to be sleeping, spending 24/7 in their menses, in their feces, in their urine and so forth, which we know the odor alone is very toxic and unhealthy. And so under those conditions, many of them died. Correct. They died here. And when they died here, what did they do with them? They just threw them into the sea. They just took them out and threw them into the sea. And you say some of them got so weak and stuff that they couldn't even walk over
to where the containers were provided to defecate into them.
Right.
They had to defecate wherever they were sitting in line.
And you said that, and the Europeans in turn applied a logic where that said, like, listen, we only want to ship the strong ones. Mm-hmm. So the ones that die out, they're of no value anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But the basic truth was that they were doing all they could do to make them very weak, because in the midst of the pain and the trouble, the African in the dungeons kept fighting.
I see. They kept resisting.
They kept resisting.
They kept resisting.
They kept resisting. They kept fighting. Yes. Yes. That would make them kind of calm down.
Okay. All right. You make the conditions as inhumane mm-hmm. and unbearable as possible, and that's bound to have a psychological effect. No matter how much resistance you're putting up, it's going to break you at some point. Yeah. Whoa. Okay.